Hello students, welcome to another biology lesson. In this class, we'll be learning about the transport system. I will take it again. We'll be learning about the transport system. At the end of this class, I expect every student to be able to define transport system. I also expect students to be able to explain the need for transportation in organisms, both the unicellular organism and higher organism. I also expect students to be able to explain transportation in unicellular and higher organisms. I also expect you to be able to mention the materials for transportation in organisms, unicellular organisms and higher organisms. You should also be able to list and explain the media of transportation. How are the things transported? Every student should be able to explain blood and state the functions of blood and the composition of blood. Now, what is the transport system? Transport system can be defined as a life process through which a substance absorbed in one part of his body is carried to the other part of his body. That is to say, it is how transport materials, how they are transported from where they are produced to where they are needed. In the body of living organisms, cells require a constant supply of materials such as nutrients, oxygen, and other essential substances for performing a healthy function. There are some key reasons why transportation is needed within organisms, some of which are one of the need for transportation in organisms is the nutrients and energy distribution. In multicellular organism, a circulatory system transports nutrients and oxygen to cells, and it also carries waste products away. This ensures that all cells receive or absorb the necessary nutrients and energy they need to function. It is also a waste removal system. Transportation helps organisms to remove metabolic waste products such as CO2, urea, which preventing the buildup of toxin that could harm cells. Another need for transportation is thermoregulation. In some organisms like mammals, the circulatory system helps us regulate our body temperature by distributing heat that is generated by metabolism. It distributes it equally. Transportation. The process of transportation in unicellular organisms like amoeba and paramecium, they get their nutrients through direct contact with their environment. In this case, water is considered as the environment. This is also true for some simple plants and animals such as algae, the bryophytes. Unicellular organisms, they employ a variety of transport mechanisms, as a result of which essential products like the oxygen, the nutrients, and excretory products such as carbon dioxide and excess water, they move in and out of the cell by diffusion. In transportation in higher organisms, this process involves various systems to move substances like nutrients, oxygen, and waste products within the body. They cannot rely on diffusion alone. And this is because they have very small surface areas to volume. These systems work together to ensure efficient, adequate transportation of substances and information as well, allowing these organisms to maintain high homeostasis and carry out their various physiological processes. Materials for transportation in organism. It involves various materials In plants, substances are transported in the following ways. 1. Water is absorbed through the roots and transported to the leaves through the xylem to perform the process of photosynthesis. Minerals are absorbed with water and transported to all the parts of the plant body to synthesize food and protoplasm. Now, this synthesized food is transported through the phloem to different parts of the plant. This is to perform respiration and also for storage. Carbon dioxide is further produced by respiration, and oxygen is produced by photosynthesis and are transported to the excretory parts, which is the leaves, for their excretion. This is the process of transportation in plants. In animals, substances are transported in the following forms. There are several forms in which substances are transported. The first one is oxygen. Another substance that is transported is the nutrients like glucose, amino acid. We also have the hormones, then the waste products like the urea, the carbon dioxide, and finally the heat. These are substances that are transported in animals. The media of transportation, most especially in animals, we have the cytoplasm, the cell sap or latex for plants, we have the blood, we have the lymph, and we also have the tissue fluid. These are all media of transportation. Looking at the cytoplasm, in unicellular organisms such as amoeba, cytoplasm enables the movement of organelles, molecules, and other cellular components, allowing the cell to perform various functions like growth, metabolism, response to stimuli, and reproduction. The cytoplasm is vital for nutrient distribution and other cellular function. The cell sap or latex, they are specialized fluids found in plants cells and certain plants, and several materials are distributed through the cell sap. The water and dissolved mineral salts absorbed by the roots are distributed through the cell sap. The composition of cell sap can vary, can be different in several plants and may change. Blood as another media of transportation is a bodily fluid. It circulates through the entire vascular system and ensures the proper functioning and survival of higher organisms. It is a medium for transporting substances within the bodies of higher organisms such as mammals, including humans. The blood is composed of different components and plays essential roles in the body. It transports waste products such as carbon dioxide and also metabolic byproducts away from the body tissues to be eliminated through the lungs, kidneys, and also excretory organs. The blood also helps to maintain body temperature by distributing heat produced by metabolic process. It also assists in temperature homeostasis. We have the lymph as a media of transportation. The lymph is a colorless fluid that plays a vital role in circulatory and immune systems of the body. It forms part of the lymphatic system. The lymphatic vessels collect cellular waste products and metabolic byproducts that have diffused from the blood into the intestinal fluid. These waste products are transported to lymph nodes for processing and eventual removal. The lymph is an essential part of the body's overall defense mechanism. It works in close coordination. The tissue fluid is primarily made up of water, electrolytes, oxygen, and nutrients that have diffused from nearby blood capillaries. It is an essential component of the extracellular matrix and plays a vital role in various physiological processes. Tissues fluid supplies cells with oxygen, nutrients and other essential molecules required for their metabolic process. It also collects waste products such as carbon dioxide, metabolic byproduct from the cells, and helps in removing it from the tissue. The tissue fluid acts as a medium for the exchange of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide between blood capillaries and body cells. The functions of blood. Blood is used for transportation of food materials. It transports nutrients such as the glucose, the amino acid, fatty acid. It transports them from the digestive system to cells, and it provides the necessary building blocks. The blood also helps in the transportation of oxygen. It carries oxygen from the lung to the body tissues and cells. This is vital and important for cellular respiration, where cells produce energy in form of adenosine triphosphate. The blood also transports hormones. The hormones that are produced by the endocrine glands, they are released into the bloodstream and carried to targeted organs and tissues, which is used to regulate a wide range of body function. The blood regulates body temperature. It helps our body to maintain temperature, that is, evenly distributing heat produced by metabolic process. It also helps in temperature homeostasis when needed. Another function of the blood is the temperature regulation. Is also as a result of the food broken down, and it is controlled by the brain. The blood removes waste products including carbon dioxide and metabolic byproducts. As said earlier, it removes it away from body tissues to be eliminated, to be taken away from the body through the lungs, the kidney and other excretory organs. One of the most crucial waste products removed by the blood is carbon dioxide. Another function of the blood is immune function. White blood cells, which are called leukocytes in the blood, they play an important role in the immune system. They circulate in the bloodstream and tissues, which defends the body against infection and foreign invaders, such as bacteria. The coordinated efforts of the white blood cell antibodies help identify and neutralize these bacteria. Up next is the video that talks about the composition of blood.
Is technically considered a connective tissue, and as such, it is the only fluid tissue in the body, full of fibrous proteins. It is comprised of formed elements, which are blood cells suspended in a fluid called plasma. If we place blood in a centrifuge, it will separate into its components. The densest section is comprised of erythrocytes, or red blood cells, and the least dense section will be the yellowish plasma. They are separated by the buffy coat, a white layer containing platelets, as well as leukocytes, otherwise known as white blood cells. As a whole, blood is responsible for distributing various substances around the body, most notably oxygen, which we can't survive very long without. But it also carries nutrients absorbed from the digestive tract and hormones secreted by endocrine organs. Blood also delivers waste products to the organs that will dispose of them, like the carbon dioxide that we exhale. Beyond this, blood serves to regulate pH in various tissues, maintain body temperature, and prevent infection. Let's discuss each component of blood now, beginning with plasma. This is a sticky fluid made mostly of water, but also containing a variety of proteins, nutrients, ions, gases, and hormones. The most abundant plasma protein is called albumin, which contributes significantly to plasma's osmotic pressure, and this is followed by a variety of globulins which bind to certain molecules for transport. Moving to the formed elements, these are erythrocytes, or red blood cells, leukocytes, or white blood cells, and platelets. Red blood cells and platelets are interesting in that they don't possess all the typical organelles and they don't divide. They are replaced by stem cells in the bone marrow. Red blood cells are very numerous in the bloodstream, and they are shaped like flattened discs with depressed centers. There is no nucleus, not much of anything inside other than lots of hemoglobin. This is the protein that allows for the transport of oxygen throughout the bloodstream, which is picked up in the lungs and then released for tissue cells throughout the body. There are other proteins as well that have structural or protective functions, but hemoglobin will be the focus here. This is the structure of hemoglobin. It is made of a protein called globin, consisting of 4 polypeptides, 2 identical alpha chains, and 2 identical beta chains, each of which is bound to a heme group with iron at the center. The iron in this heme is able to bind to an oxygen molecule in reversible fashion so that it can bind and then release when necessary, so each hemoglobin can bind 4 oxygen molecules. And there are around 250 million hemoglobins per red blood cell, so one red blood cell can transport 1 billion oxygen molecules. Blood cells are produced through a process called hematopoiesis, and this occurs in the red bone marrow, which is a soft network of connective tissue found on certain blood capillaries, and which contains hematopoietic stem cells. For erythrocytes, this is more specifically called erythropoiesis, and billions of new red blood cells are made every day to maintain a nearly constant number, given that red blood cells function properly for only about 3 months, only to be destroyed by macrophages, which are a phagocytic type of white blood cell. Next, let's look at leukocytes, or white blood cells, which, unlike the far more abundant red blood cells, are complete cells with nuclei and organelles. These are part of the immune system, which we will discuss in greater detail later, but for now we will just understand that these help us defend against pathogens and other harmful things. These use the circulatory system to get around the body, but they can also slip out into other connective tissues to do their work. There are 2 types of white blood cells, granulocytes and agranulocytes, which differ in the presence or absence of granules. The 3 types of granulocytes are neutrophils, which kill bacteria, eosinophils, which kill parasitic worms, and basophils, which contain histamine that attracts other white blood cells to a site of inflammation. Agranulocytes, on the other hand, can be lymphocytes, which fight viruses and tumors, and also give rise to plasma cells, which produce antibodies, which we will discuss later. Or they can be monocytes, which become macrophages that can eat up intruders. Leukocytes are produced by leukopoiesis, which is stimulated by certain chemical messengers. Lastly, we get to the platelets. These are fragments of large cells called megakaryocytes. These fragments are essential during blood clotting, which happens when blood vessels are damaged, as platelets can plug up any holes or tears to seal things off. They flow through the bloodstream in an inactive state unless needed, dying every 10 days or so and constantly regenerated. Megakaryocytes form due to repeated mitotic cycles that do not perform cytokinesis, so the result is one huge cell with a multi-lobed nucleus. This then presses against a sinusoid, and its extensions burst to release the platelets. These platelets are important during hemostasis, which is the process by which the body will stop bleeding through vascular spasm, platelet plug formation, and then coagulation, or blood clotting. This essentially means that where there is damage to a vessel, smooth muscle will contract, platelets will plug the tear, and a protein called fibrin will form a mesh to patch everything up. Once the vessel has healed, the clot is removed through a process called fibrinolysis, so that there is no blockage in the vessel. So those are the components of blood. We can look at a diagram like this one to see how these arise during hematopoiesis. We can also briefly mention the different blood types that humans can exhibit. These are A, B, AB, and O. These have to do with glycoproteins and glycolipids found in the plasma membranes of red blood cells. A and B refer to two different agglutinogens that can be found in these membranes. So blood group A has one of them, B has the other, AB has both, and O has neither. This is important for blood transfusions because if someone's body only recognizes A and gets blood with B, the new blood cells will be recognized by antibodies as foreign and destroyed, which can be fatal. So someone with AB blood can receive any blood, since both A and B will be recognized. Hence, they are universal recipients. And someone with O blood can give blood to anyone, since there are no markers to be recognized. Hence, they are universal donors.